What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put it on all so you get notified as soon as we drop new content. So let's get into it. This week, it is fight week now. This coming Saturday, we're going to have Joyce versus Zhang. Zhang, who pulled off the victory against Joyce last time out. It was by way of stoppage. Joyce's eye was completely closed. I believe it was his right eye. Took some serious damage in that last fight, and now this is his time to get some revenge. So we're going to be talking about a bit, just in brief, about whether this will be repeat or revenge. Now, having just watched the last fight, I think a lot of things stuck out to me, as they would, and one of the major things that stuck out to me was the movement of Joyce. Joyce was moving right into the path of Zhilei Zhang's left hand. He was moving in the direction right towards Zhang's backhand, so he was always in line for that left hand, for that cross, which is a power punch for southpaws, and he never seemed to change that angle. I mean, he was just always kind of moving around in a way that's, I suppose, to his right and Zhang's left, and Zhang was finding him all night long with that left hand. That was a big factor in the fight. Also, the jab of Zhang, the fact that Zhang was able to, even from that first round, he was able to play games with his lead hand, sticking the right sort of in playing that game, and his jab was always coming off better in the first round. Joyce was able to land a few shots, but it was very sporadic, and for the most part, Zhang was allowed to control the pace of the fight. Joyce was a very static target in that fight. He was not only sort of moving onto the backhand of Zhang, but he was also very static in terms of his movement. There was literally no head movement at all fight long. There was no sort of lateral movement or anything. He was just like straight up and down in punching range for the most part, and he was always there to be hit. And Zhang was just sort of teeing off on him, just pinging him all night, because Joyce was just right there in front of him, an immovable object that just wouldn't move. So Zhang just pinged him all night and was able to hurt him in that fight. And I think basically those are the things that Joyce is going to need to change. He's going to need to employ a lot of movement in this fight. I think for Joyce to stand any chance, he's gonna have to be moving out of punching range sometimes, rather than doing what he did last time, which is basically you're right there in the pocket, willing to come off second best and then try to. I would advise against doing that. I would say, when you do any damage, you take a step back. I would say he should make Zhang come to him, because I think Zhang, he is a guy that does have stamina issues, especially when you get later into fights. He does have stamina issues. So I think if Joyce can make it to where he's using a good jab, and sort of as Zhang tries to counter him, taking a step back out of punching range, using the ring, using all of the ring, moving around the ring. I'd say make it to where Zhang has got to work, and he's got to work hard to kind of find you. Because Joyce has got, I would say, of the two, although Joyce lost the first fight, I think Joyce has got the better engine, the better stamina. So I think he should use the fact that he's got faster feet than Zhang. He might not have faster hands, but he certainly has got faster feet, because his hands very, very slow. But I think he can use his feet and make Zhang have to kind of follow him, and make Zhang have to be the one that reaches, and the one that's sort of trying to find him, and use angles rather than staying there in the pocket all the time. Take a step out, take a step backwards, or to either side, preferably I would say to your left. Try and whereas what he was doing the first one, going more towards his right and onto the to that left hand. In this fight, I think he's got to do the opposite rather than going into the fire. Take little steps back, use movement, and always be stepping to your left, step away from that southpaw left hand. He's got, for me, that he's got to do that to stand any chance. Otherwise, the same thing is going to happen again. And I think he's also got to vary up the shot. Sometimes throw. He does this sometimes, but I'd say sometimes just throw a little tippy tappy shots and then sink the power shots into Zhang's body. That's going to be another important thing. But overall, I think it's going to be movement that is the key for Joe Joyce. If he is to win this fight, he's got to use movement. He's got to use all of the ring. He's got to sometimes step out of punching range, and he's got to make Zhang think. He can't just be there as a static target, because I think we know good and well that Zhang will thrive if you're just right there in front of him. If you're there and you're in punching range all night long, then he's just going to pick you off all night long. So Joyce has just got to use those feet, use those legs, move around the ring, and he's got to use, although the southpaw jab in Southpaw versus Orthodox battles, a lot of times the southpaw jab does come out on top because southpaws are more rare, so you're more used to fighting Orthodox fighters if you're an Orthodox, so southpaw is a bit of a rarity. So the battle of the jabs is always a tough one to win, but I think Joyce has got to not abandon his own jab, make use of his own jab, and perhaps do that thing that Usyk does sometimes, which is he will kind of, rather than trying to get around your jab, he will sometimes, when they're playing that war of the lead hands, Usyk will sort of get underneath your jab. So as your hand's up here, he will thread a punch sort of through. And, that's another little tactic Joyce can do, because I think the jab's going to be an important weapon in this fight. And I think the idea for Joyce should always be to try his best to sort of take this fight into the later rounds, because I think in the later rounds, Joyce has got the engine to sort of step things up. And I think Zhang, if he does go into the later rounds, is most probably going to tire in those rounds. So yeah, those are just a few things for Joyce. Movement, use the jab, combination punching, and making sure that you don't give Zhang opportunities. Make Zhang sort of chase you rather than you just being there to be hit. And I think for Zhang, he's got to just pretty much stick to the same tactics as always. Strong southpaw jab, throw combinations, and of course, it might sound very crude, but you target the eye again. If you're Zhilei Zhang, target the eye again, pepper it up with double jabs and things of that nature, and just keep Joyce at the end of your punches, and you can win the fight again just like that. And I think as far as who's going to win, I think the most likely outcome is a repeat victory for Zhilei Zhang. I think he can do it again inside the distance, and I mainly think that's the most likely outcome because I think for Joyce to make the necessary adjustments, it might actually be too much for him. He might just get hit and revert to type. I think that's quite likely to happen. But I think if for Joyce to win, he will need to make big adjustments in how he fought the first time, and I see that as being a difficult thing to do. Not that it's impossible, but I think the likely outcome is we get a similar fight and Zhang wins. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out.